I noticed that the table was way over here. My immediate inclination was to grab it and drag it back across the room until I realized that would show that I was habituated to dragging and speaking from over there. And I thought, that's no good. I thought all my Rotarian friends from the greatest Rotarian club in the universe here in Elkhart, Indiana, are always up for shaking things up, a little bit of change. And so stretching everyone's necks in order to turn to your right, would that be house right or crowd? I don't know, whatever that is. So anyway, we moved stuff over here. So I'm gonna have Susan Ginther come up and give us our invocation, pledge, and four-way test.
And we're going to shake it up a little more. We're going to do the pledge and the four-way test and then the message. And the four-way test. Is it the truth? Then you may be seated. In trying to come up with a message for you today, I decided to look at service above self and see what I could find outside of Rotary. And I think you'll be a little bit interested in what I came up with. I discovered that those who serve have different DNA characteristics than those who do not. That those who serve are healthier physically and mentally. We are happier. We're more comfortable in our own skin. We're more willing to compromise and problem solve. So in coming across that information, I looked up some quotes, and these came from a gentleman who teaches entrepreneurs. And he teaches about serving as part of being an entrepreneur. And many of us are in this room with the businesses. We know that when we each joined Rotary, and by extension Rotary International, we agreed to serve and contribute our time and treasure to do that. So these quotes are: to be successful in business, you must first be successful in life. And to be successful in life, there must be a service above self component. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. This one is Mahatma Gandhi. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. And Anonymous, don't feel bad if people remember you only when they need you. Feel privileged that you are like a candle that comes to their mind when there is darkness. Service doesn't have to be big and grandiose to be meaningful and make a difference. Martin Luther King, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Earn your success on service to others, not at the expense of others. You have two hands, one to help yourself, the second to help others. Audrey Hepburn. Without service, we would not have a strong quality of life. It's important to the person who serves as well as the recipient. It's the way in which we ourselves grow and develop. And that probably ties back to the DNA. To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money. When you are in service to your fellow human beings, you are in service of God. There are many wonderful things that will never be done if you don't do them. Our rewards in life will always be in direct ratio to our service. Desmond Tutu, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. And lastly, from Mother Teresa, give your hands to serve and your hearts to love.
Thank you, Susan. And now we'll have Andrew Harmon come up and tell us who our guests are today.
Hi, good afternoon. Start with visiting Rotarians. Doug Grant from Syracuse is here today. And we have a handful of guests. Dave Diger has a guest. Fran Connor has a guest.
Hi, today is my husband, John Connor.
And last but not least, Peter Norton has a surprise guest.
I'm told that I have a guest and her name.
Thank you, Andrew. And welcome. Doug, great to see you. Vince, nice to see you. And John, it's nice to see you again. And Julie, we at the board meeting, we actually approved your reinstatement as a member. So I think we have officially today, we have your application, but I think we got all that squared away and you are back in. Now we'll see if we can actually find your badge. We might still have it. It might not have gotten heard. Excellent. Welcome to all of our guests. And also just thanks to everyone here being online. We've got, I think everyone is fairly identified on here, which is good. John, I know that is John Hill and Steve Rakonen. Steve Rakonen, that's you, right? Let's see if Steve's here.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Nice to see you, Steve. Very good. Okay. And let's see, let's do announcements. If anyone has anything to share, please come up to the podium. And while we're doing that, I just want to mention that next week we have Dave O'Connor. So Aaron Wagler got us connected with Irish Dave. Dave O'Connor, he's now the program director at Froggy 102.7. He's going to be talking about the cool things that he has experienced in his time, brief time working at Froggy, and also he's one of the on-air hosts of Experience Michiana on WNIT. Some of you may have seen that. So he's going to be coming and speaking with us. Also next week, September 20th to 26th is Rotary Peace Corps Week. And we are partnering for Peace. We'll host events to highlight the evolving collaboration between Rotary International and the U.S. Peace Corps. They'll be doing some webinars on how to use the partnership, Rotary District and Rotary Club levels. And this is actually the very first Rotary Peace Corps Week. Is an opportunity for members of both organizations to collaborate, leverage their efforts and their resources, and create projects that will have an even greater impact. So to learn a little more about that, Ashley Bowen, one of our members, is going to do a short 5-minute presentation about that next Monday before we have Dave talk to us. And then on September 27th, the Office for Community Engaged Learning at Goshen College will be doing a presentation. They received some great funds, and they're going to tell us more about that project. It's pretty exciting. Quick preview of service projects upcoming. I know Bob Gerard, the morning division chair, couldn't be here, but just a reminder, September 25th, October 9th, November 13th, and December 11th. Those are all Saturdays. If you want to come get your hands dirty or not, put on gloves. You can come and work at Boot Lake Nature Conservancy, and they'll meet at 10 o'clock. We'll have more information, and Bob will send some emails about that. But it's a great opportunity. You don't even have to get up early. It's great. It's like the best of both worlds. Get to work outside. The weather's getting cool in the fall, and you don't have to get up early. And then Saturday, October 16th or the 23rd, and Tom McCarthy, are you here? Tom let us know that those are the two prospective dates for the County Road 6 cleanup. We'll have the information, but either the 16th or the 23rd, it's a Saturday morning. And I'm going to let Susan mention a little, I think, more about another project.
On your tables is detailed information about our addresses and supporting the school in Chahul, Guatemala. Over on the bar is one of the addresses and sign up to sew or take a kit or come with us on the 29th of September at Presentation Products to work on dresses. Some of you have also asked me about people helping us from outside the club. I'm perfectly willing to get those folks the information. If you can see me right after the meeting, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you.
And just a reminder that this Thursday is the third Thursday of the month, so it's our after hours gathering at Artisan. We gather at around 5 o'clock. Usually goes about 60 or 90 minutes. No program. Come and go as you please, and you'd be surprised how much you get to know from your Rotarians. Hope to see you.
Okay, they gave the nice, easy announcements. Now Howard's going to give our tough announcement for November. We would like to be thinking about a long time deceased Rotarian, Mike Grable, and what we would like to do. I have, and I'm going to first show it to those online. If you can see, I have in my hand a fresh $100 bill. So Rotarians online and here in person, so that we can increase our giving of our gold every Rotarian every year. We would like for as many of us that can and choose to and will, we will pick out the Monday in November that we would all put $100 in the foundation. So I think we can. I look around, not too many of us got stimulus money, so I think we're okay. So with that, that is the goal. And I hope that at least 100, let me tell you what Howard's goal is. I hope at least 100 of us Rotarians will end. Me talking, you're gonna see the first $100, we'll have a list. And just like the pastors and churches say, follow me, so I want all of them. No, first of all, you can jump ahead of me. If you wanna give 1,000, you can. But we're only asking each Rotarian, in case you haven't started giving, so that we can meet our foundation goal, $100 on maybe the second Monday or second Tuesday. Eric and us will talk in November, and our district governor's going to talk a little bit more about some things, but $100 is all we're asking for. So if you can, between now and then, sacrifice that and make that pledge for that day, we'll have it. We'll be here early, have the table set up so that we can get everything that we need to do for the foundation. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Howard. And for those like Andrew Harmon and myself who don't ever carry cash because our kids have maybe stolen it, cards work too. And you can do those online. They work wonderfully. It's so easy. It's sanitary. You don't have to touch a $100 bill, you know, unless you got one of those, but this is just so simple. All right. Just a reminder, we were talking about this in our pre-meeting with District Governor Jane Roush. We were talking about volunteer opportunities and talking about some of the service projects that we do. And just a reminder, if you are involved either as a staff person, possibly an executive director of a not-for-profit, or involved with one and you would like to share opportunities for service in our community, please share those things with me. Those are things that we would like to get out there. Service is good, right? I think everyone here, whether or not you do it yourself, you can appreciate that some folks like to be doing. And that is one of the ways that we will get that done. Okay. We have, and as we do each week, we always try to raise a little money so that we can help expand our mission in the community to make our community a better place. We do that every spring, and we do that on a weekly basis by raising fines. So we raise funds through fines, And Bill is making his way up here as if he has a purpose today. I bet he does. I bet that'll cost me $5. So with no further ado, Bill Burton, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, with District Governor Jane Roush here, this is all going to be Rotary oriented. And I know we've got the intelligence, the genius, and the looks to make this a real success. So I'm going to call on some folks. If you get the question right, the club puts in a buck. If you don't, then you put in a buck. Does that sound fair, Brian? Yeah. Oh, great. So softball. Brian, stand up, if you would. Yeah, Brian Smith. Well, Rotary Foundation, or Rotary was founded in what year? Multiple choice, 1895, 1905, 1915, or 1925? No, not Rotary. Rotary was founded. The club was 1905. Thanks, Brian, for your participation. Try to do this one better. Jane, in a little bit. Not Jane this time. How many districts? How many Rotary districts? Let's go with Terry Rickle. How many districts, Rotary districts, are there in the world? Multiple choice, 500, 1,500, 2,500, or 3,500? 500. 500. So everybody put in $1. You know, Terry, you put in $1. Now, how many Rotary clubs are there in the world? Someone, Chuck Grodnick, you got this. How many, now multiple choice, how many Rotary clubs are there in the world? 5,000, 15,000, 25,000, or 35,000? Rotary clubs in the world. How many? 35,000. So Chuck, please put in $1. Now our logo, back to you, Jane. Rounded to the nearest 50. And if you get this right, everybody puts in $1. If you get it wrong, I'll put in $20. So please get it right. Rounded to the nearest 50. How many clubs are there in District 6540? Yeah. Rounded to the nearest 50, then you didn't get it right, did you? I said rounded to the nearest 50, and you said 57. So you got it wrong, so I put in $20. Thanks a lot. I knew this was not gonna go. All right. Our Rotary logo is what? A wheel, right? Multiple choice, sure. Why is it a wheel? Multiple choice, here's the possible answers. You get it right, everybody puts in $1. You get it wrong, you put in $1. Is it because in 1905, it was all wagon wheels, either buggies or wooden wheels on cars, or Paul Harris, after the meeting, liked to ride on the Ferris wheel at Navy Pier in Chicago? Or after the meeting, if they didn't have a program, they would all watch the show Wheel of Fortune. Or the club venues used to rotate. So buggies, Ferris wheel, Wheel of Fortune, or venue. You're exactly right. Everybody else put in $1. Good job. Nicely done. Speaking of Ferris wheels, you're an engineer. Todd Stone, why'd you stand up? Architect, where is the largest Ferris wheel in the world? Is it in Dubai, Las Vegas, London, Paris, or Tokyo? It was at one point, but it is in fact Dubai at 820 feet. Not exactly a rotary question, but we're on the same spirit with the wheel. Now, Jane Roush or Candy Yoder. I know I call on people just as they're eating. Jane Roush, our district governor, is a member. What is her home club? Albion, Kendallville, or Fort Wayne? Yeah, you're right. Okay, everybody put in $1 for the second guess, or 50 cents maybe. Okay, now, what is the world's largest club? Tom Pletcher. Please stand up. The world's largest, I'll give you multiple choice. In alphabetical order, Chicago downtown, Dallas North Side, Los Angeles, New York Manhattan, or Oklahoma City. Chicago, Dallas, LA, New York, or Oklahoma City. The world's largest Rotary Club, Tom? No. Please put in $1. It is actually Oklahoma City at 615 members. Okay. Who's not making eye contact? Aaron Wagner. You're got this. Stand up, Aaron. Did I call you already? No, I don't think I did. Okay, so the world's largest service club by membership. Is it Kiwanis, Lions Club, Optimist Club, or Rotary? The largest by membership. Kiwanis, Lions, Optimist, or Rotary? Well, Kiwanis is 550 members, 550,000 members. Optimist is 80,000 members. Rotary is 1.2 million members, and Lions is 1.4 million. So you got to put it up. Who's really international here? Jack Citadine, you certainly have traveled a lot. The president of Rotary International is Holger Knack. That's spelled K-N-A-A-K. From what country is he? Brussels, Canada, Germany, Great Britain, or Shipshewana? You are wrong. Please put in $1 then. Eric, do we have a treasurer in this club? Okay, and who is that? Okay, is Mr. Story in the room? Oh, yes, he is. Would you please identify Mr. Story for me? Mr. Story, would you please stand up? 2 questions for you. 2. If you get it right, everyone pays $1. If you get it wrong, then you pay $1. A Rotary Club has a tax ID number. What are the first 2 digits? The first 2 digits of that tax ID number. The first 2 digits of the tax ID number. What are the first 2 digits of the tax ID number? Help, Jim. 35? There you go. You got it right. 35. Everybody put in $1. Now, Jim, don't sit down. What is the rest of that tax ID number? 35604 4343. And put in $1, please. Thank you very much for Sergeant at Army.
That's a pretty good program there, Bill. I hope I don't have broccoli in my teeth. I'm sure those online will tell me later if I do. So I appreciate that, Bill. That was good. That was good trivia. Especially the throwback question about the president from 2020, 2021. That was good. So just a quick note on who our current president is. Shekhar Mehta from India. Holger Knack, fine president from Germany. But we just got to make sure we're all about the correct information here. And again, I may force a fine from having corrected the sergeant. I'll pay that next week. Okay. We are really happy to have our guest here today. Jane Roush drove up from the club or from near her club of Albion. Very good, very good. She's the 6540 district governor. She has been a Albion Rotary Club member since February 2006, where she served as president. She's been an assistant governor, an annual fund chair, administrative council representative, and her dad, father-in-law, and husband is currently a Rotarian, correct? Yes. So definitely some Rotary in the blood right there. Jane graduated from IU Bloomington. Don't hold that against her, for I'm sure there's a few folks in here that will. Her professional life has provided many opportunities in sales. She's been with P&G, executive director of the Kendallville Chamber of Commerce, and the first director of Parkview Noble Hospital Foundation. So she's got some of that not-for-profit fundraising spirit within her, as a lot of us can appreciate. And she told me not to read the whole bio, but it's always great to get to know people. You get to know them through their bios and talking with them over a beer with Pete on Thursday evenings. Jane and her husband Alan, they've got children and 4 grandchildren. They've got a house on a small lake outside of Kendallville. And any guesses what car was Jane's when you drove into the parking lot today? This is not in her bio. I just happen to know this. But yes, Don. It is a red Audi convertible. That's a pretty cool car to bring in. So with no further ado, Jane, welcome to the Elkhart Rotary Club, and thank you for being our district governor in District 6540.
Move over here. Looks great, looks great. I had a wonderful time with your board earlier, and I just want to give a woohoo Rotary shout out to the Elkhart Rotary Club. You're doing some fantastic things and have a lot of other great opportunities ahead of you soon. I need one other prop here. My little yellow jug. So what I want to do today is I'd rather see a good sermon than hear one. That's a line from a poem. And then it was also, I first heard it from Bishop Woody White, who was a former bishop of the United Methodist Church in Indiana. And he shared a very powerful message with that. And it just kind of stuck with me of, it's more about seeing and visualizing than it is talking.
Alrighty.
You're going to hear me talk today. So what I want you to do is visualize when I became a Rotarian versus a member of Rotary. I did a mission trip about 3 years ago to Uganda, Africa. And it was not a Rotary mission trip, but that's when I turned into a Rotarian. As we were driving from Kampala to Restoration Gateway, which was in the northern part of Uganda for our mission, I saw a 7 to 8-year-old little boy filling his yellow jug with water out of a river that was about the color of this podium or the tops of your tables. And next to him was a young man in his 30s or 40s who was washing his boda, which is another name for motorcycle in Swahili. And all I could think about was the fact that all of that grease and that dirt and that soap suds was going into that little boy's drinking water. Well, later on during our trip, even though that's empty, it gets heavy after a while. Later on during our trip, we actually took a week and did some fun things. And we went to another part of Uganda and to trek the gorillas. And we were driving into this small village. And as we were driving in, there was a great big huge rotary wheel right at the side of the road. And we were like, stop the van. My husband and I and another gentleman in our group said, we've got to get out. Let's see what that is. And it was a district, or it was a global grant that a district in Iowa had done to bring clean water and sanitation to that entire village. And all I could think about was, just think what a great organization we are, that I'm halfway around the world and I'm connecting with Rotarians in the United States who have made such a difference in people's lives around the world through the Rotary Foundation. Oh, and that's a good time to give this as, here's my $100 to give to your funds for that. Mike Crable was a very important person to me, and I greatly valued his friendship and his mentorship, so I'd love to do that for him. The second part that really made the difference though for me was we were at Restoration Gateway, which was a school for orphans, and they had just built a new clinic or hospital. My husband's an optometrist, so we were doing a vision clinic. I'm not medical, so my job was to go down and get the next group of kids to come up for their vision screenings. And as I stood in the doorway there, I saw a young man, probably in his 30s, maybe 40s, leaving the facility on that evening. When I went back to our mission house, I broke down in tears because I said to our 30 people that had gathered from the United States, from Indiana mainly, I said, you know what? I found out that that young man had polio. And I'm part of, you're part of an organization that has made it so that no other young child in Africa is going to deal with that kind of life again. We should all give ourselves a round of applause for that right now. And more importantly, you know, that was 2018 when I was there. The continent of Africa was just declared polio free in August of 2020. So just shortly. Part of the other aspect of being district governor is that I get to share the president's theme and his initiatives. And the first, of course, the theme is serve to change lives. And as Eric said, with my philanthropic background, that really stuck with me. And I'd much rather be out doing a hands-on service project and making a difference in people's lives than listening to a speaker like me. So, but you're going to listen to me for a few more minutes here today. So he had 3 initiatives that he had with that serve to change lives. The first one was each one bring one. Rotary International has been at 1.2 million members for 20 years. The second initiative was Rotary Days of Service. And what he said was that the collaborative effort that we put in provides a greater impact. So when we work with other Rotary clubs or Interact clubs or even other organizations in our communities and share that message, that gives a much stronger message of what Rotary is doing in our communities. And the third one is empowering girls. So how do I break that down then to District 6540, our clubs and our members? Well, Shaker called us during and all of our training was by Zoom last year, but he called us the change maker governors. And so I say to you, I can't be a change maker governor without change maker members and clubs, because that's where the real basis of Rotary is in the members and the clubs. The first one that he said, each one bring one, I added sustain one. And that's why I missed a few of you, but there's some still up here in the basket. There's some M&Ms on the table that I handed out. And that I put on there for make membership meaningful. You know, each year we bring in 300,000 new members into Rotary, and we lose 300,000 members every single year. Now, some of it is through natural attrition, like, I mean, people die and people move away from an area that has a club. But the majority is because we don't engage our members. We don't connect with their passions and do the service and the opportunities that we can do. So that's why I say make membership meaningful. Make sure when you're bringing a new person in, and even members that have been there for 20, 30 years, what's important to them about being a member of Rotary, and make sure you're making those connections and that engagement. It may be through a survey, it may just be one-on-one asking, but making sure those projects and things that you're doing in your club are things that people want to do. The other part that he asked is with that each one bring one. He asked each of us on our little Zoom, as I say at the Hollywood Squares, we all raised our hands to pledge that you will each one bring one potential member to Rotary this year. We all did that. And at this point in time, I'd like to encourage each of you, would you join me and raise your hand to say that you will invite one potential member to Rotary this year? Look at that. Wow, you can fill this whole room and have to expand out into there. That'd be fantastic. You know, and really when we think about it, my goal is to increase from, we've been on in District 6540, we've been on a downward decline too, just like Rotary, in terms of we're not growing. We've lost about 100 members every year for the past 2 or 3 years. My goal this year is to grow by 200. So yes, that's a 300 split, but really all that means is a net gain per club of about 2 to 3 members per club. That's not astronomical. That's not hard to get to. Because as I said, we have 57 clubs in District 6540. And if each of those just brought in 2 to 3 new members, we'd be close at net gain. We'd be close to our 200. Plus, we're starting some new clubs. We just chartered a new club in Ossian in June. Ossian is just south of Fort Wayne. And they chartered as a full-size club. We're looking at a satellite club in Huntertown, which is part of Fort Wayne. And then we're also looking at a new Rotaract club up at Purdue Northwest and a couple of other potential smaller satellite clubs that would develop. Satellite clubs are 8 members that are, it's kind of like your morning division and your noon division, but they actually call themselves a separate club. Sometimes they're in a totally different area, but they're sponsored by a larger organization. So we do have a new and innovative clubs chair. His name is Rick Solman, and he's out there trying to start at least 2 to 3 new clubs, and we very easily hit that number. The second part, again, was the Rotary Days of Service. And a lot of clubs don't have other close Rotary clubs or interactive clubs to work with. So we identified 3 different time periods during the year that would be Rotary Days of Service in District 6540. The first one is coming up. You already have an event planned, I heard. So September the 10th through the 25th. So get out on the 25th and help with cleaning up. And that counts. Wouldn't it be great having all 57 clubs working on that week, those weeks? The main one I'm looking at, actually the next two, are in April during the weekend of Earth Day, which is April 22nd through the 24th. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we had all 57 clubs in District 6540 doing some kind of a project for our most recent area of focus, which is, there's no fine, but what is it? The environment. So wouldn't it be fantastic if we could say on TV in South Bend and Fort Wayne and up in the region, we have 57 clubs throughout District 6540 that are all doing some kind of project to clean up a river, to clean up lakes, to clean up parks. It can be your own project, what's important in your community, but we're all working together. What a great impact story that would be. And then the third time of service will be a district conference. This year it's going to be at Notre Dame again, and that is May 19th through the 21st. So I'd love to see a lot of you come over, even if it's just for the day. And we are going to do a service project at the conference, and it will be tied in to the third area of focus, which is empowering girls. With the third area of focus, I'm really concentrating on three different areas. I call it my three-legged stool. The first one is that I'm encouraging every club to have some kind of a program on ending human trafficking. And if we think that that's not an aspect in Northern Indiana, then we're just all kind of fooling ourselves. Because I've talked with a lady who has a home in Warsaw for girls that are being brought out of trafficking. And she said that she rescued one recently out of a hotel in South Bend. So we know that it's close and we need to do something about it. So we have a speakers bureau of available speakers, or a lot of times most clubs know the contact right in their own area that can talk. I know Goshen's getting ready to do a fundraising walk. I think it's this weekend for Destiny Rescue, which is really more in other countries, but it's another great way to help empower girls. The second aspect is choose some girls program in your community that you support. And you may already be doing that. I didn't have a chance to ask the board, but it could be Girls on the Run. It could be the Girl Scouts. It could be sponsoring a self-defense class for middle school and high school age girls and their moms, making a fun mom's night out together, a girls' night out. But that's a great way that a Rotary Club could help with empowering girls in your community. It could be STEM mentors in the school if we're allowed into those particular schools, and that depends. That goes school by school in terms of the COVID aspects. And then the third one is that we are doing a global grant. We are part of, we're 57 clubs in District 6540. The northern border right up here of Indiana is the top northern border of our zone. And the zone runs all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. We are called the Heart of America Zone. And we always partner each year with the Heart of Mexico to support projects there. And so our project this year is to help build bathrooms in schools so that girls will stay in school. What we find is that girls, when they reach puberty in a lot of underdeveloped countries, drop out because they don't have a separate bathroom, they don't have a clean bathroom, they don't have that opportunity for a separate clean bathroom to go to. And so they either have a lot of absenteeism, then that puts them behind, or they just drop out altogether. There's a lot of other projects around the world. We just chose to continue our partnership with Mexico on that one. So I think that the other part that I would say is that I wouldn't be a district governor, and Howard did a great job on it of just encouraging it to continue. You give very, very well. You get another Woohoo Rotary for the Elk Park Rotary Club for your support of the Rotary Foundation. You know, every gift is very important and it makes such a big difference through those projects that I've talked about today, because the money that's given to us or that we give into the Rotary Foundation annual share fund comes back to our district so that we can use that for district grants for projects right here in your own local communities, or for those global grants where we partner and we build hospitals in India and we put in bathrooms so kids stay in school, and we do science labs in schools. We do great work through the Rotary Foundation. The other part is that next month, October, is World Polio Day, and I encourage you maybe it's with your social hour or the Thirsty Thursday, trying to have pints for polio or pizza for polio, something like that, where maybe they'll donate $1 per pint of beer that's sold that day and use that as a small fundraiser for polio. When I think of the theme, serve to change lives, I think about that when we give up our time, our talent, and our treasures, we not only change the people that we're helping, we make our own lives better. I've never done a project or been a part of anything if I've been involved that it didn't make me feel, wow, time well spent, money well spent. And I'm missing the last part of it, but the last part is that Helen Keller said, you know, with one, we can do a little, but then as a whole great big group, as a club, as a district, as Rotary International, we can do so much. Shaker wrote a poem, and it was in one of the Rotarian magazines, and that was the part I was going to read, and that's not with my papers here. But it basically says, in the serve to change lives, if we give up with our heart, with our hand, and our heart, and our soul, the biggest gift we're given is the power to touch a life, to change a life. And when we give of our hand, and our heart, and our soul, that wheel begins to roll. And when that wheel begins to roll, just think of the magic that we can do to serve to change lives. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm very impressed and I'm pleased, excited about all the things that you're doing in your club. And I just wish you the best of luck and continuance with that. Any questions that you might have? No, we don't right now, but that's a great idea. Would you like to help? Okay, sure. She wanted to know on my Rotary Days of Service, especially the one in April. And actually I do have one, she wanted to know if I had like a Facebook page or something to coordinate that if people could send in, we're doing this project and where we need help and all of that type of thing. Well, now we do always encourage people to put it on the Rotary District 6540 Facebook page and use that as a tool too. But I wasn't quite there yet, so a great opportunity. I had talked to Natalie Johnson at Save the Dunes. She's from the Gary Club, and they're always very active up in that area of trying to connect something up in the Dunes area on Lake Michigan. But there's, I certainly love some help and ideas, and that's a great idea, and we'll work on that. We'll probably do a couple of different things with that. We also do a thing called idea exchanges, and instead of them being training workshops, which I hate the idea of saying I have to go for more training, but you know, we can always learn something. We're doing idea exchanges once a month through the district, and we have somebody that talks for about 10 to 15 minutes about a subject, and the last one we did was on service projects. The one before was on membership. But from there, we just kind of share. So anybody that's on can give ideas of great things that they're doing. And, or they can ask questions of how would we handle this particular issue a little better. I think one of our next ones we're going to do is on hybrid meetings. So how can we improve so people can hear and understand and connect better? And so we'll definitely have another one of those on the Rotary Days service as we come up. Any other questions? Yes. Well, technically, Rotary International only recognizes two types of members. And one is an active member and an honorary member. However, each club has the opportunity to have corporate members. And Club Runner will actually, you can put it in as a corporate active member or an active corporate, I think. Some people do them different ways. So yes, they are, several clubs are still doing corporate memberships. It varies between clubs on how they're actually set up. Some clubs will do them in terms of there's one main member who is actually the dues paying member, and then the others are really more like honorary and are not, they don't pay dues. The other ones, a lot of them, and this is probably the best method because it gives them more chances to get the Rotarian magazine, to get information from Rotary International, and some options there is that it really comes down to the club saying we can reduce fees. So the first person pays full dues. And then the second person in the club maybe pays 2/3 of the dues. And that kind of breaks down as far as if you charge for lunches or that type of thing, and then they just pay when they come. It's still a very active option, but it really kind of has to be specifically designed for each club, and then they set up their own. We have a couple of ideas that we can share with you if you're interested in that, of ways it's set up in other clubs. Oh, yay, you have some. Okay, great. So do you already have it set up then? Oh, that's fine. Great, that's fantastic. So you know, it's like we were talking in the board meeting, it's so hard to keep up with everything that goes on now and all the changes that take place. So I mean, through both Rotary International and clubs and in the foundation. So that's part of why we're here, is to answer those kind of questions. Anything else? If not, I would just invite you, if anybody, and Terry's joining me for sure. If you've ever thought about going to a Rotary International convention, keep our fingers crossed that it's in person in Houston, Texas in June 4th through the 8th. We're gonna have a great time. They've got some great activities planned for us, and it's the closest it's gonna be for a while. So if you've ever thought about it, it's a great opportunity. As I tell everybody, come join me in muggy Houston in June. But it is what it is, and we'll have a great time. Okay. That's right. Okay, thank you.
That was a handshake off the camera.
Oh, thank you for being here.
And Jane, thanks for all that you do. We all know, and we've all had district governor visits, and I don't think many of us envy the time and the commitment that you all give. And so I really appreciate it. And thanks for the emails. And I have to say, I haven't got as many. This doesn't mean you have to go send me 5 more, but I've heard horror stories about emails, and Jane's been pretty good. She keeps them tidy, and it's succinct. I love it. It's nice. Here, come on up.
This really is, but I don't know how many of you have heard immediate past district governor, John Frischie, suffered a stroke a couple of weeks ago, and then recently suffered another one. And so he is currently in a rehab facility in Lafayette now. He has been released from the hospital, and he's in an intensive rehab facility. So just keep John and Sue in your prayers, and you can send cards to their home address if you'd like to, and just kind of, because I know he connected with so many clubs with all of the Zoom and the virtual that he did last year. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that, because I know I informed at the assistant governors, and right now I'm still working on a new one for your club. So I apologize for not having that information out to you sooner, but keep them in your prayers. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane. And Jane, you did a pretty good summation of it, but I found Shekar's poem, and I'll read it here. And this is the 2021-2022 president's poem, Shekar Mehta. He said, "The biggest gift we are given is the power to touch a life, to change, to make a difference in the circle of life. If we can reach out with our hands, heart, and soul, the magic will happen as the wheels begin to roll. Let us all turn the wheel together so that all humanity thrives. We have the power and the magic to serve, to change lives." Thought that was very nice. And with that, Rotary is adjourned.